북한은 왜 그토록 미국을 싫어할까요? 이거
Why does North Korea hate the US so much? It's very interesting. North Korea's animosity towards the United States has historical roots. Originally, the Korean Peninsula was a single country. However, after following the end of the World War II, the peninsula was divided by the Soviet Union and the United States. Soviet troops in the northern parts expelling the Japanese forces, while the US troops did the same in the south. And around the same time, two separate regimes emerged, Kim's regime in the north and South Korea led by the President Sung-man-rhee.
그런데 그 김일성 정권은 두 개의 강력한
Yet Kim Il-sung's regime received the backing of two powerful, superpowers with the substantial support of China and the Soviet Union. It constructed an army that could be compared with nations with a long-standing history of military development.
거의 3년도 안 되는 시간 안에 탱크와 그 비행기까지 갖춘 군대가 됐습니다.
This army was equipped with tanks and airplanes in less than 3 years. In contrast, the South Korean military at the time was so under-equipped that many soldiers did not even have rifles. Additionally, the United States had made an announcement at the time withdrawing their defense perimeter against the communist bloc back to Japan. This strategic boundary came to be known as the Atchison Line.
그러니까 소련과
So the line was drawn to contain the expansion of the Soviet and the Chinese-led communist forces across the world. But this line was retracted closer to Japan. Since the Korean Peninsula was not included in this setting, Kim Il-sung was convinced that the US military would not intervene if he initiated a war.
그리고 김일성의 입장에
Let's consider Kim Il-sung's perspective. Compared to the South Korean military, which lacked even proper rifles, his military possessed, tanks, airplanes, and formidable force. Moreover, there were numerous spies in South Korea who were followers of the Workers' Party of North Korea. Kim Il-sung believed that if he started a war, these individuals would also rise up in support, collaborating to destroy the South Korean regime.
그래서 사실 김일성에게 있어서 당시 남한은 완전히 그 테이블 위에
South Korea was like a dish served on a table for Kim, ready to be swallowed. All he needed to do was to stretch out his hand. Confidently, Kim Il-sung launched war on June 25th, 1950. Events unfolded as he had intended. South Korea lost its capital within 3 days. Have you ever heard of a country's war in history where the capital was captured so quickly? Kim Il-sung was elated. Within a few months, South Korea lost most of its territory to the North Korean military.
그래서 김일성은 이제 다 됐다.
Kim Il-sung thought he was, about to become the king, but the U.S. military intervened. General MacArthur launched the Incheon landing operation, striking at the waist and breaking through.
그래서 남쪽 밑으로 내려갔던 북한군
As a result, the main forces of the North Korean army they were annihilated. The devastated forces of Kim Il-sung retreated all the way to the Yalu River and were only able to regroup with the intervention of the Chinese People's Volunteer Army.
김일성의 입장에서 봅시다.
From Kim Il-sung's point of view, he had almost secured his prize. But who snatched it away? The United States of America.
그런데 전쟁을 일으킨 그 대가도 너무 혹독했다는 거예요.
And the cost of starting the war was too severe for North Korea. North Korea had started wealthy when Kim first established it. There were many factories left in the cities, by the retreating Japanese. Then the US bombers turned all of them into ashes. North Korea was devastated to such an extent that not even a chimney stood intact. In the history of global warfare, it's the only country where even the chimneys were destroyed. If you look at the records of the US pilots, they had one particular concern. When they flew their planes, there were no targets left to destroy. They had dropped so many bombs that there were no buildings left standing.
어디다가는 이게 그
So there was a need to drop bombs. There was nowhere left to drop them. As a result, the pilots reportedly turned it into a game, seeing who it could hit a chimney. So North Korea became known as the country with all their chimneys destroyed. Thus, the country was reduced to clear ruin. South Korea was taken away from their grasp, and North was turned to ashes due to these chimney-hitting pilots.
그 후에 북한은 핵을 만들었어요.
Afterward, North Korea developed nuclear weapons while South did not. This created a situation where war was unfeasible. Even now, North Korea maintains an army of 1.2 million soldiers, always with the intent of invading South Korea. With just over 20 million population, an army of 1.2 million is an abnormally big number.
많은 군대를 보유하고 있는 이미 이 순간에도 이 남한을 접수하겠다는 거예요. 무력으로.
With the nuclear weapon, they would easily take South Korea if only the US forces were absent. With their troops stationed in the south, the US kept shattering North Korea's dream of invasion. It was depressing and it was heartbreaking for them. That's why North Korea detests America to the point of having, fits in their sleep. The biggest insult you give someone in North Korea is calling someone an American. To use phrases like "you American." That's how deep their resentment runs. This is why North Korea harbors such animosity towards the United States. Do you understand now? Okay.